going to give a talk today about Midex Resources. We're a private company. We're working toward a go public transaction in the next month or so. We've got a large land package in northwestern Ontario. And sorry, it's not clicking through. Okay. I'll use them both. Okay. So this is a map of our project locations. You can see we've got a flagship project near Armstrong, Ontario. We call it Crescent Lake. We've got another project up to the northwest near the Manitoba border. It's called our Barrens project. Allison Lake is just outside of Ear Falls, Ontario. And then we have in the Abitibi province near the Quebec border, we have our Case Lake project. And down near Thunder Bay, we have a large project we call Onion Lake. We've got excellent geology in all of these. We were able to stake relatively early in the land rush in Ontario. We started up at Barrens. We're directly beside Frontier Lithium's project. And the Crescent Lake project is directly on strike with Green Technologies' Seymour project. So the thesis for Midex is that we're looking at the supply chain dynamics. So basically, in Ontario, we would be able to mine, process, create a chemical, get that down into southern Ontario and the northern states to create either cathode active material or batteries, and then ultimately into cars. We also have a recycling capability in southern Ontario as well as in Cobalt, Ontario. So as the previous talk explained, what you want to try to do is shrink supply lines. That gives you an ESG, a small ESG footprint, low CO2 footprint. It also creates a secure supply line if it's all entirely in North America. So the thesis we feel is extremely robust, and it's something that we believe is going to be increasingly important down the road. So this is just another illustration of that. You can see our Crescent Lake project just up here. We have excellent infrastructure up there. We've got 2 or 3 large companies working away, GT1, Battery Age Metals, and GT1 has got plans to put in a concentrator on their project. We tie on directly to them. They also have plans to put a hydroxide plant in Thunder Bay, and ultimately that could feed down either by rail or by lake freighter down into southern Ontario. So you've got Stellantis in Windsor, you've got Volkswagen in St. Thomas, both with battery plants. Stellantis is under construction now. You've got Umicore with cathode active material in Kingston. And you've got other car companies as well, Honda, Toyota. And then, of course, into the northern U.S., you've got a number of battery plants, gigafactories that have been planned. So this is our flagship. This is Crescent Lake. You can see the location of the Seymour project that's being explored by GT1. Right now they've got a resource of about 10 million tons of 1% lithium. They're currently drilling. I think they have a 7,000 meter drill program to upgrade that into a reserve and to expand it. They've done an offtake deal with LG Energy. So LG gave them a $20 million offtake agreement in exchange for 25% of that deposit. You can see our project is outlined in gold here, and we have the direct strike. We have 4 pegmatites directly on strike with the trend. It's about 8 kilometers that sit on our project, and there's been essentially no exploration done. These pegmatites were discovered in the 50s. And then there was some drilling done in 2016 by a small junior out of Australia. They optioned this package, did a little bit of drilling, a little bit of stripping, and then turned it back to the holder, Antler Gold. We were able to option this property we worked on it for about 6 months. There was a bit of competition to pick this project up, obviously, and we were able to sign the final contract in May of this year. You can see some of the numbers in orange. This is the drilling that was done by the company in 2016. So we've got some good grades. We've got some decent width. This is a down dip hole that was that company drilled for just to look at continuity. So we've got pretty good grade. Note these are all very short drill holes. Really, this remains untested. All of these pegmatites remain untested below 35 meters. This is what this is what some of the grab samples from the pegmatites look like. You can see the kind of the gray or the slightly yellow or green, that's the spodumene. Very coarse crystals. It looks like it would be very similar to what GT1 has at Seymour. So we have a pretty large package of land. We know this trend here is directly on strike. It follows a very large shear zone on the edge of a granite, so it's pretty easy to confirm geologically. We've done a little bit of prospecting, a little bit of till sampling since we picked up the project, so we have a pretty good feel for the rest of this trend. We feel that this is going to be productive, and we're looking forward to getting back in here next summer and doing a lot more work. We've got a drill program planned for this winter. We've got the permits in. We've got an exploration agreement with the First Nations. So we're going to be able to move forward with that work once we're listed. So this is a little bit bigger overview, so you can see GT1 is a pretty dominant position in the whole belt. There's another company up here, Battery Age Metals. They're drilling these 4 pegmatites up here. They've been getting some pretty good results. So you can see this trend. It's about 13 kilometers in total that runs along this structure. There's also another structure that runs up here to the north. It's relatively unexplored. And then there's a scattering of pegmatites throughout the belt. So as lithium areas go in Ontario, it's probably one of the most prolific. So this is from that 2016 drilling. It's again, you can see the holes are extremely short. You can see the scale here. So this is a 3% max scale, 2%. These are about 5 meters true thickness, relatively vertical. This is the 61 West dike, and these are going north-south. You've got the other 3 pegmatites tend to follow the grain of the shear zone. This one's a cross-cutting. So this one is quite interesting. You've got a series of parallel dikes, so we may be able to build tonnage here relatively quickly. So this is a shot. This is some of this has been from the technical report. So when we did our 43-101 technical report, we did some resampling of drill core. We've got that available to us, and some grab sampling. So this is the Chappé pegmatite. You can actually see the spodumene weathering out. That's one crystal I'm holding in my hand there. And we've also got drill core here as well. So we've got both the spodumene pegmatite drill core, plus drill core from a copper moly deposit that sits on the property. So right now we're re-boxing a lot of this core, and we're examining it for the possibility that there could be some pegmatite in this old drilling. So you can see this is our verification from the 43-101. So the numbers matched up really well with the old data. and it came out at a pretty good grade. So 3 of these numbers well over 2%. Some of this is core, and some of this was from sampling off the outcrop. That's what it looks like in the field. So we've got relatively thick bush. The stripping that was done in 2016 is it was a relatively cursory job. They just basically were looking to line up their drills, so they just stripped it off just to get an idea of orientation and exactly where it sat. So there's quite a bit more work to be done. We'll just have a quick look. We have a large project up at Favorable Lake. We just recently did a deal with Patriot Lithium. They had a discovery up in this area. Sorry, let's go back here. They had a discovery up in this area, and we did a little exploration. We did a couple of programs with them. We flew some LiDAR. So in discussions, they showed an interest in putting the belt together. So what we did is we did a deal where they can earn into just to the lithium rights for the entire claim block. So we have about 55,000 hectares here altogether. So when we added it into what they had, and there's another block that we put in there, another company, Patriot was able to close that deal at the same time. So they ended up with about 89,000 hectares in total, directly along strike with Frontier Lithium. So Frontier is here in the brown color. So this is pretty compelling. You can see where the Spark Pack project is down here. Their discovery is up here. So now you've got almost 100 kilometers of strike on this project. So we're going to get, it's a 3-year earn-in for $4.6 million worth of cash and shares. This is another project that we have, Allison Lake. It's located just to the east of Ear Falls, Ontario, south of Red Lake. It's GT1 also has a project here. This is their root project. So there's a series of pegmatites that sort of follow along this crescent-shaped trend, and we sit right along the edge of this peralkaline granite. So this is a good target. There's been a number of companies in here looking, including GT1. We've just got in there this fall. We did some prospecting. We did some till sampling. We should have those results in a couple of months. GT1 has picked up some spodumene pegmatites up in this area, so we think this area has a lot of potential. Kenorland is doing a lot of till work up through here for lithium, so we should see some results coming out of this area fairly soon. GT1 has plans for a concentrator in this area as well. It's a different flow sheet. It's going to require flotation. So that's the idea for the second concentration facility. So there's our guy. That was about a week ago. They started out, it looked like this, and when they finished, it looked like this. So this was till sampling. We managed to get pretty good coverage on the property. We would have liked to get a little bit more, but the weather is your mistress in this case. Case Lake. This is a project we have beside Power Metals. This project was one of the projects where Sinomine had to relinquish their share in the project, so Winsome stepped up. Winsome, I think, now has 20% of this project. We have about 8 kilometers of strike directly on trend, so you can see the trend of the pegmatites that they've discovered to date are going up to the northeast. We staked this almost 18 months ago, actually. There's a lot of staking that's gone on. Almost this entire slide is covered in claims now. So this is our focus. This is kind of the use of proceeds and our work plan. You can see the different projects. So Crescent Lake is our flagship. So we've got a phase 1, phase 2. It's basically following what's going to go in our updated technical report. We will do an orientation drilling survey on 2 of the pegmatites. It'll be about 750 meters of drilling. We'll do magnetics. We've got the LiDAR done. We'll keep doing till sampling, prospecting. And next summer, we plan to strip off 2 of the other pegmatites. They've had very little work done on them to date. So before we drill them, we'd like to get a little bit more orientation on them and then follow up with a pretty significant drill program in the summer. You can see our timeline here. We want to get public. We're continuing to do exploration. We're continuing to compile information. We're looking at some bolt-on acquisitions, claims. We want to continue evaluating ground, and ultimately we want to put a lot of drilling into this project. I think the key here is that there's GT1 has a pretty aggressive program planned at Crescent Lake, culminating in putting a concentrating mill there in 2026. So that's gonna make our job quite a bit easier if we can get in, drill off a resource. We've got a mill within 5 or 10 kilometers of the project, so it's gonna keep our capital costs quite low. So there's the group. I'm the CEO. I'm an exploration geologist. I've been around for about 35 years. Doug Harris, he's our CFO. He's also CFO of Grid Metals. Tammy Lettinen does our First Nations work, our permitting, and she's got a lot of experience. She's based out of Thunder Bay, Ontario, and Scott Young raises the money. We've been a private company since 2019. We've done 3 private raises. It's not easy, so hats off to Scott and his contacts for keeping us going. And there's our board of directors. We've got Andreas and Terry from Talisker, and the founder was myself and Glenn Rochon. And you've got Glenn Baldwin, who's Australian. He's a mining engineer. He's got a real depth of talent and contacts. So there's a comp sheet that we put together. Basically, companies that are beside us and active in the areas that we are in northwestern Ontario. So we put their market caps. Sorry, we'll go back here. We put their market caps up here. Some of the land the size of the land packages, et cetera. So you can see we're a very good investment proposition. We got a very low market cap at $15 million, but we have a comparable number of projects, land size, and we've got excellent neighbors on all of our projects. We should have a very low spend in order to get going. We have a couple of projects farmed out. We have a couple of gold projects. One of them's optioned out to a major, and then we've got the Patriot Lithium deal. So that's a binding term sheet right now, but we expect to have definitive documents on that in about a month. So that's the cap table as it stands right now. So fully diluted, we're about 97 million shares, 83 million shares undiluted. We expect to come out once we're public, we're doing a 2-for-1 rollback. So we'll come out as a listed company with 55 million shares and a market cap of $15 million. I'm going to just flip through quickly. We do have a couple of gold projects, so I just want to touch on them briefly. So this is the Barons and the Sturgeon project. The Sturgeon project we farmed out. The Barons project is the one that we've optioned to Patriot, although we've held back the gold and polymetallic metals on that earn-in. So Patriot is only earning in on the lithium. So Barons, it's a very interesting project. It's a past producer. Produced during the war, and it produced gold, very high grades of gold and silver, along with lead zinc. The lead zinc was concentrated during the war and sent down to the United States. So that shows you there's a couple of zones there that are they're quite high grade underground development. So we have no plans to do anything on these gold projects to date. We're currently looking. We've had a number of companies look at this project, but right now we're just going to maintain it. So there's some of the numbers. You can see some of the grades, extremely high grades of gold and silver. And that's the second gold project that we have, Darkwater. It's got a historic mine on it as well, but it's relatively grassroots. It's near the Sturgeon Lake base metal camp.